There is a strange kind of silence that follows a quiet breakdown, not the loud, cinematic kind of collapse, but the one that happens behind closed doors, in front of a mirror after no one saw you cry. Your face is swollen, your eyes burn, your chest feels hollow and heavy at the same time. Yet what unsettles you most isn't the exhaustion, it's the recognition. Because for the first time, you don't recognize the woman staring back at you. She isn't the version you worked so hard to maintain. She isn't the one who smiled through discomfort. She isn't the one who made herself smaller so others could stay comfortable. She looks stripped, unprotected, undeniably real. And in that moment, something inside you whispers a truth you can no longer escape. You cannot go back to who you were. Carl Jung believed the soul does not crave perfection, approval, or admiration. It longs for wholeness, the reunion of everything we were taught to divide. But wholeness doesn't arrive gently. It begins with rupture, with exhaustion, with the moment the mask becomes too heavy to wear. And if you're here right now, watching this, listening, feeling something stir, it may be because you've reached that threshold too. So before we go any further, take a breath. If this resonates, pause for a second and gently tap the like button, not for the algorithm, but as a quiet signal to yourself that you're listening. This is not a video about becoming better. This is about becoming real. Chapter 1, when the masks no longer fit. Many women spend their entire lives searching for love, yet never once living as themselves. They are praised for their softness, their sacrifice, their ability to endure without complaint. But beneath the applause lives a silent grief no one sees. Jung wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." And for women, that terror has been carefully conditioned. From a young age, many are taught which parts of themselves are acceptable. Be kind, but not angry. Be nurturing, but not needy. Be strong, but not threatening. These expectations solidify into identities Jung called archetypes, universal patterns like the good daughter, the caregiver, the lover, the perfect mother. Archetypes are not wrong. They become dangerous only when one becomes a cage. When a woman lives only as a good girl, she forgets how to say no. When she lives only as a caregiver, she forgets she is allowed to receive. When she lives only as a lover, she forgets she exists beyond being desired. What suffers is not a performance, but her soul. This inner fracture creates a constant tension between who she appears to be and who she actually is. And eventually, something breaks. Jung called this outer identity the persona, the mask we wear to survive socially. The persona helps us belong, but if we cling to it too long, we forget our own face. And that's when the shadow appears. If this feels familiar, stay with me and subscribe, because what comes next is where real healing begins. Chapter 2, Meeting the Shadow Without Fear. The shadow is not evil. It is not broken. It is simply everything you were taught not to be. Your anger, your grief, your hunger for freedom, your refusal to be agreeable. For women, the shadow often holds qualities labeled too much, too emotional, too intense, too independent. So these parts are buried, not healed. Jung warned us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Unintegrated shadow doesn't disappear. It leaks, as burnout, as resentment, as depression that arrives for no reason, as sudden collapse after success. The awakening begins when a woman stops running from her darkness and starts listening, when she allows herself to feel anger without guilt, desire without shame, silence without explaining. This stage feels disorienting. You are no longer who you were, but not yet who you're becoming. Relationships shift. Old roles fall apart. Your inner world feels like a demolition site, but something is breathing beneath the rubble. Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." The shadow is not the enemy. It is the doorway. Chapter 3, The Collapse That Becomes a Beginning. Individuation does not begin with peace. It begins with crisis, a loss you didn't see coming, a relationship that ends despite your efforts, a morning where you wake up and cannot pretend anymore. This is not punishment. This is initiation. In Jungian psychology, suffering becomes inner alchemy, the transformation of pain into awareness. Just as alchemists turn lead into gold, the psyche transforms wounds into wisdom. Many women describe this stage as unbearable loneliness. But Jung believes solitude is often where the soul finally speaks. You're not abandoned. You are being reintroduced to yourself. If you are in that gray zone right now, where nothing makes sense, don't rush to escape it. This is where the old self dies quietly, so the real one can breathe. Chapter 4. The Birth of the Integrated Woman. There comes a moment, soft but irreversible, when a woman stops begging life to save her. She stays with herself. This is the emergence of the self, Jung's term for the integrated center of the psyche. She no longer performs strength. She embodies truth. She becomes soft without weakness, firm without cruelty, present without apology. This is where the animus, her inner masculine, matures. She stops seeking someone to rescue her from herself. She seeks partnership, not salvation. Her clarity is quiet, but unshakable. If you've noticed people falling away lately, don't panic. Truth rearranges reality. And if this speaks to you, leave a comment below, even one word. Connection matters here. Chapter 5. The Magnetism of Boundaries. True magnetism is not charm. It is coherence. A woman who knows her limits becomes unmistakable. She doesn't over-explain. She doesn't apologize for her depth. She doesn't negotiate her intuition. Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." This woman has looked inward. She has learned the sacred power of refusal, not from bitterness, but self-respect. And paradoxically, the more she honors herself, the less she needs to be desired. Presence replaces performance, and the world responds. Chapter 6. Restructuring life from the inside out. Individuation changes everything, not dramatically, but permanently. Beliefs dissolve. Old friendships fade. New alignments appear. Jung called this synchronicity. Outer life rearranging to match inner truth. You begin trusting intuition more than approval. Dreams become messages. Silence becomes nourishing. This is not loneliness. This is sovereignty. Chapter 7. Integrating the inner archetypes. The whole woman is not one role. She is many. The lover, the mother, the maiden, the wise woman. None dominate. None are exiled. They coexist. You are allowed to be sensual and serious, nurturing and solitary, playful and profound. Wholeness is not elimination. It is integration. Jung wrote, "Wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration of contraries." And when this happens, life begins to flow. Finally, the woman who will no longer ask permission. There is a stillness in the eyes of a woman who has chosen herself. Not arrogance, not hardness, but recognition. She no longer adjusts herself to be acceptable. She lives truthfully and lets life respond. If you are on this path, know this. You are not late. You are not broken. You are not alone. Every step you take toward yourself ripples outward. When one woman heals, she heals generations. So choose yourself today, quietly, firmly. And if this journey matters to you, subscribe to the Mind Kit. This space is for women remembering who they are,